We're going to start tonight's conversation on an entirely different note and talk about something other than politics, something a little more human, something a little more social. When I was a child growing up, my mother, at times when I was being bad or doing something I shouldn't be doing and would get hurt, especially if I wasn't listening and disobeying, my mom would say, "See, God punished you for not listening." Well, I know that's an old guilt trip that mothers usually use, particularly Catholic mothers. But let's look at this in reality. The United States right now is involved in certain ways across the world that personally I believe are absolutely incorrect. Wasting fuel in a war that we shouldn't be fighting, thousands and millions of gallons of fuel every day in the deserts, wasting lives, wasting money, fighting a war. And in particular, the war is being fought in the Middle East, where the children of Abraham have been arguing for the last God knows how many centuries. And when I say the children of Abraham, I mean the Arabs and the Jews. One being the children of Ishmael, the other being the children of Isaac, both being the sons of Abraham. Yes, in fact, if you don't know your Bible history, Abraham fathered both groups of people. So who is the real chosen people? That's not for us to decide. Never was, never will be. Now, back to what I was saying. When I would do something wrong and get hurt, my mom would say, "See, God's punishing you for not listening." Let's look at our country right at this very moment. More fires than you could ever shake a stick at, in no pun intended, in the West. More fires than we've seen historically in California alone than anyone has ever known. The floods have been unbelievable. I mean, we're talking some very major flooding. Fires on one side, flood on the other. Christians would have a great time with that one. Tested by fire and water. That's the old adage. Is God punishing the United States because we're not listening? If you believed in God, or if there is a God, or if you believe there is some kind of supreme deity, most people would rather think that God is a loving being. But isn't that why God supposedly sent Jesus? And believe me, I'm not trying to be a preacher here. I'm just simply pointing out some very basic philosophical aspects to our nation and the things we claim as a people. America is made up of a lot of different religions, but the primary religion, and let's face it, the dominant religion is Christianity. If Christians were really, really what they claim they are, wouldn't you think at this point in time they would start to realize that God is punishing this country for not listening, for not doing what should be done, instead of what they think they need to be doing, which is meddling in a war between two people who have been waging war with each other, which is basically just a family feud. I'm pretty sure in the Bible it states that the Jews were going to be pretty much smitten all the way to the end, and it's none of our business whether they're smitten or not, because it's written that that's what's going to be happening. Even the Jews have known that all their centuries of existence. They know they're on the short end of the stick. They've always have been, and they've accepted that lot and have done pretty well for themselves considering that. Now the Arabs, on the other hand, are still very bitter. They still represent that very, I should say, the Bedouin tribes. They still represent that bitterness that Hagar and her son showed as they slunk away into the desert after being cast out by Abraham. This is something we should not be meddling in. And I know it's all about oil. Regardless of what they say, it's oil. The bottom line is this. The world is crying out. The planet is screaming at the top of its lungs. The economy is collapsing all around us. General Motors stock is below $10 a share. Now, we're talking about General Motors. What's good for General Motors is good for the country. Remember that? Those of you who are old enough to remember that? Well, is that the fact? Then if it's good for General Motors to go bankrupt, then I guess it's good for the country to go bankrupt. Is that really what it's all about? Stop, look, and listen. Remember that? When you were a child, they taught you before you crossed the street. Stop, look, and listen. It really seems to me that the adults, the very people who are running this show, have not stopped, have not looked, are not listening. And therefore they are getting plowed down, rolled over by the traffic, by the road, by crossing a road without paying attention. Why did the chicken cross the road? So he could be Sunday dinner. Look, it's not funny. I know I'm making jokes about it. I'm not laughing. I'm not humored by this at all. I don't find it humorous. I don't find it cute. I think George Bush is an ass. I think people who believe that he's honest are asses for believing it. And I don't think anybody is going to save us. Obama? No, I don't think so. They'll probably kill him if he does make it to presidency before he puts his hand on the Bible. The guy might be dead. I mean, you never know. People don't like the idea of having a black president. There are still people out there, folks, believe it or not, hello, wake up, that will not stand to see a black president, much less a woman. McCain, in my opinion, McCain is a Manchurian candidate. What happened to him in those 5 years of prison camp life? You never know. You can't trust it. Regardless of what anyone says, yes, he seems like a good man in some ways. He seems like he's got great ideas. Maybe he just has good speechwriters. The bottom line is this. None of them are going to save us because we are not paying attention. As good Christians, as good spiritual people, we cannot continue to believe that that things are going to be okay, because things are not okay. It's time to start listening to what's going on. Maybe God is punishing us because we're just plain stupid, because we're just idiots for stretching ourselves out across the oceans, trying to meddle into other people's lives simply because we are greedy, while our people are dying here from bad tomatoes, while our people are dying here because there's no more money for the emergency rooms. People are literally dying in the emergency rooms because no one gives a shit. And we have doctors who are lying to sell products for major pharmaceutical corporations that are literally based in German history. If you don't know your history, check into the roots of most of the major pharmaceutical corporations. Those roots go back to Nazi Germany. Hello. If you don't believe it, check it out. The bottom line is this, is we have been bamboozled. They are screwing us in the you-know-what. And if you don't believe it, you need to start looking at the facts. The facts are there. All you have to do is search it. Now, you need to do it right away, because I guarantee that the freedom of the use of internet will be the next phase of policing. They will, and they are at this very moment attempting to remove any freedom that we have left in communicating through the internet, in sharing information, and not all information on the internet is bogus. There is a lot of good stuff out there. Look for it, find it, check out the facts, find out the truth about where all of this is coming from. You need to see what's happening. Water. I watch farmers in my area spraying irrigation water on their alfalfa fields. Half the water is evaporating into the atmosphere. Yet water is so scarce, you think oil is going to be expensive. You just wait. Water is the next thing that everyone is going to be killing each other for. That's all I have to say today. Open your eyes. Pay attention.